You are listening to the Postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and the Glebe Central Pub. Make sure you check out the Glebe Central Pub right in the heart of the Glebe. Great food, awesome drinks, the atmosphere to match. And oh yeah, the Send Shuttle will be back on March 12th. So get your tickets round trip to and from the Glebe Central Pub for only $17. Our guy Spud271 was at the GCP and he confirmed via Twitter that the vibes are free. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller, and the losses continue to pile up for the Ottawa Senators, falling 4-2 tonight to the Philadelphia Flyers. Shout out Mad Søgaard, made the trip yesterday, recalled in goal tonight, and gave this team above 900 save percentage. However, too little for the way this team played. Pilsy, how did you see this one unfold?
Well, I mean, for once, Ross, we can say that Mads was exceptional this year in the NHL. We just got to have him play Philly more often, right? It seems like that's when he has his good games. But I thought he gave this team a much better chance to stay in this than they deserved. Now, mind you, you look at no Brady in this game. Zach McEwen, sure, he's a fourth liner, but he goes down early, so you're down a man there. You're playing with 7D, Max Gannett, one of them. Matt Søgaard just got called up yesterday, so you're not really in a good position to win this game anyways, but Matt Søgaard was great. There were so many times where he had to make huge, big saves to keep his team in the game. In the first period, he was incredible. And the Ottawa Senators at least made this game interesting, but overall, this is a good tank loss. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, this is a loss where you're like, okay, the cards were stacked against them. They at least made it interesting, and they ultimately lose so that on Tankathon, Ross, when we do our spin, the numbers remain green because at this point, losing is the best thing this team can do, unfortunately.
The retool is coming. The trade deadline less than a week away, and the Senators have a ton of decisions to make on multiple players on the team. We'll get into some individuals in our second half of tonight's postcast, but the first half of the show should be reminiscent of the first half of this game, where the Ottawa Senators, for the fifth straight game and 12th of the last 14, allowed the first goal. It took just over a minute for a deflection to go past Mad Søgaard, and you're like, okay, strap yourself in. Here we go. Joel Farabee. And I was just waiting for the 2-0 goal to come, but really, this was Mad Søgaard's best period of the night. The Sens got outshot 19-4. And I saw the stat at the end of the first period. 12 individual Flyers had at least a shot on goal, and Ottawa had 4 total. So, I mean, that's my first period recap. I don't know if there's anything you want to get into, whether it's the Ridley Gregg kind of accidentally on purpose running over the goalie or anything else that stood out to you in that period.
Yeah, I mean, that's classic Ridley, and I think the refs and other teams are kind of catching on to him being a little bit of a greasy guy like that, so he's not going to get the benefit of the doubt on that call. Chychrun has had a tough stretch here, but man, that penalty on Forster, that's not a great call. We don't talk about the refs on the show, but that's not a great call there. And for a guy that's already down and out and really hasn't had anything kind of go his way recently, that sucks for Jakob Chychrun to start the game off like that. Now, mind you, they don't get a goal on that power play, thankfully, but still not a good start.
This game was 0 for 9 total power plays. Ottawa went 0 for 5. Philly went 0 for 4. Now, little asterisk, Thomas Chabot's goal to make it 3-2 late in the third period was just after a power play had expired. I know that because Dominic Kubalik was on the ice, and apparently this guy only plays when they have power plays. I say that almost tongue-in-cheek because tonight he actually played just over, 13 minutes of action. And
out of necessity.
That would be saying it lightly. Still, though, 2 guys played under 10 minutes. Parker Kelly, 9:17 in this one, -2, and Mark Kastelic, 5:58 in this game. But that was, I mean, Thomas Chabot was just firing everything at the net in the third period. He went double doink, the 2 posts, and look, Ottawa hit a ton of posts. It was, rattling around in behind Sandstrom right in goal. Yep. And I don't know, man. I couldn't even bring myself to be that upset that they didn't go in. It's unfortunate that we're at this part, but I think at this point, you're just happy that Tarasenko continues his offensive output. That's going to look good in the trade market coming up this week. Shane Pinto gets another point. He's up to 14 points in his last 13 games. Huge bounce back after the suspension for Shane Pinto. And other than that, not a whole lot else I loved in tonight's game, other than, of course, what we discussed at the start of the show. Mads Søgaard was brilliant.
Yeah, and we love to see that for our guy Mads, because he got sent back down to Belleville, and he was lighting up when he got, or I guess shutting it down, not lighting it up if you're a goalie. But he was playing really well. So I feel like this time at least he's got that confidence where he feels good about himself. We know Mads is a guy that kind of wears his heart on his sleeve. He gets down on himself if things aren't going his way, which, I mean, rightfully so. Young goalie playing in the NHL, it's a lot of pressure, especially last season when he was literally their number one goalie. He might have that title again here, as no Korpisalo, no Forsberg. It was Mads and Levi Marilainen that were the tendies tonight. So very similar situation to what happened last year. And it seems like this happens every single season where a Sens goalie prospect is tossed into the fire, not at the ideal time out of necessity because of injuries. It's wild that this keeps happening to the Ottawa Senators, but that's what we're used to here. Ross, the real issue that I think we need to look at, because the cards were stacked against this team in this game, so the loss really doesn't hit that hard. It doesn't hit as hard as a team losing to Arizona Coyotes that were on a 14-game losing streak last night. I'm still in shambles after that game, but this one doesn't hurt that much. But
I'm going to go so far, Pilsy, I never do this. I know some people do the emotional hedge. Tonight was the first time all season I bet against the Sens in regulation.
Not a bad move when you're a Sens fan and you know the spot they're in, especially second half of a back-to-back here, and they had to travel from Ottawa to Philly. Not that's that far, but
their goalie met them in Philly.
Yeah, well, goalies.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. What I was going to say though, Ross, is I think the real thing to look at here is the power play. And again, you're missing guys like Brady Tkachuk's not there. That's tough. He's a big part of being a net front presence and, you know, creating chaos in front of the net. But the power play going 0 for 5, especially at a double minor mixed in there, I actually thought, considering the fact that this was not the ideal power play, not the ideal situation for the Sens, they did a really good job of maintaining the puck and possessing it in the O zone. Like, it wasn't like normal Sens power play where they can't figure out how to get it into the zone and things like that. But who cares if you can pass it around the perimeter nicely for a minute and a half if you can't get any sort of shot selection off? And when they were deciding to shoot it, it seemed like more often than not, they're just shooting into guys' shin pads, and the Philadelphia Flyers are racking up their block shots category. And John Tortorella, we know, loves guys that block shots, so they're getting extra brownie points on that one, mostly because the Sens are just firing the puck at them, not that they're necessarily getting in the way of it. So that was tough to see for the power play. They had a couple decent chances, but for the most part, I didn't like the shot selection, which when you go 0 for 5, it's not like you didn't have enough opportunities to try to figure it out.
And really, it was the third period power plays for that. I thought the first power play of the game was solid for Ottawa, and I thought they were moving around well.
Yeah,
Chychrun had a great one-timer. They had good ozone possession for a minute 30. Chychrun hit the crossbar. Remember, they thought that was in. But then the third period, I've got in my notes here. The first one, I took a bunch of notes. It was the 4-minute power play where brutal turnover by Timmy on the entry. They didn't even really get possession until the first half of it was over. But then the next power play, the one off the high stick that Giroux took, my only note on it is pathetic. Like, there's not much else you can even say about it. And on the final one, that the fourth or the fifth one was Chabot hitting the double post. So just overall, it was a very kind of broken up game, especially in the third period with all the power plays and penalties going both ways. But look, ultimately the better team won. Ottawa gets outshot 40-26 in this game. It was an empty net goal, so Mads Søgaard only allowed 3 goals on the 39 shots he faced. That's a .923 save percentage, and they pulled up that graphic, Pilsy, that we've been talking about a lot on this show, where when the Sens get good goaltending, even average goaltending, they win the game. Wasn't the case tonight. The Senators get the... It's funny enough, Sandstrom went 24 for 26. Those are identical save percentages, .923 for both goalies. in this game. But I didn't think Ottawa made it hard enough on Felix Sandstrom tonight. And when they got it past him, they couldn't get it past those big iron posts right behind him. So Ottawa loses this game 4-2. They'll come back to Ottawa, regroup, really, I think, more than anything. Some guys will be packing heavy bags as they're going out west for a road
I don't
trip.
think they're going back to Ottawa, Ross. They were saying they were heading right out to Cali after this.
Right. Sorry. That's my bad, because Gord Miller actually got twisted up on that. I forgot he corrected himself, because that was what he said during the Arizona broadcast. But yeah, so they're going straight out. They're going straight out west. So I don't know, man. I don't know where they go from here psychologically, where it's like you're going to play a couple bad teams this week, and LA's been so hit and miss. It'll be the DJ Smith reunion. I'm sure some guys will be happy to see him, maybe too happy. But that'll be the second half of back-to-back for Ottawa. Their next game isn't until Wednesday. This is the first time since the All-Star break, Pilsy, that the Senators have had 3 straight days without a game in forever. So you know what? I'm excited to see what they look like on Wednesday, and I'm excited to see what Steve Stais has up his sleeve, because if I was there, I'd take off the belt and give these guys a little whip after the way that they've been playing over this last stretch. That's 4 straight losses for the Ottawa Senators against a lackluster opponent. Washington, Nashville, Arizona, and Philly. You can't get one win. That's after going 3-0-1 against Tampa, Dallas, Vegas, and Florida last week.
It's wild. And you mentioned, Ross, that they're going to California, playing mostly bad teams. You're looking at Anaheim, San Jose, and then LA, obviously kind of figuring themselves out here. But it's fun. Like, from our perspective, we're saying that. I bet Locked On Kings, Locked On Ducks, maybe even Locked On Sharks are saying, we get to play the Ottawa Senators. That's a bad team coming to play us at home. And they're probably looking at the Sens road record, being like, nice, we can get a morale victory here. We're going to beat up on a terrible Sens team. That's where we're at, Ross. We're talking about going to play bad teams. This is a bad team.
Yeah. Well, if anyone wants to ask, we'll be happy to share the information with our friends over at Locked On Ducks, Locked On Kings, Locked On Sharks. Sens are 0-11-0 outside of the Eastern time zone in North America this year. So those are 3 games that are on Pacific time. So we'll see how it looks. Pilsy, my goal at this point is for them to go over until Winnipeg, and then us literally flex our muscle 12-0-1 boots on the ground and win those 2 Central Time games at Winnipeg, at Minnesota. It would just be, at this point, it's all what's good for content, and that would be very good for content.
Yeah, Ross, I'm looking at hopefully 3 straight losses in California, getting the win up against Pittsburgh at home for a 1000th episode up against Erik Karlsson. We want that. Then 2 consecutive losses. Then I will be boots on the ground March 17th, my 31st birthday, up against Carolina. So I'll take a win when I'm watching the game there. And then
I thought that was a surprise.
Yeah, well, I've realized it now. I've been told of the plan now, so I'm stoked about that. Although Carolina, tough opponent to be going up against if you're the Sens. They never seem to beat them. And then we got 6 straight losses lined up until you and I see them in Winnipeg. So
you know who they're playing right before they play the Jets?
I'm looking at great, the Blackhawks. Yeah, that's a loss.
Chicago at home. Hey, you know what? For those who want to be delusional the other way, maybe you start Mads Søgaard for the California games and he gets 3 shutouts, and then we all remember that's how the Hamburglar run started.
No. That's bait.
That was so cool.
That you set the trap, Ross, and you put cheese covered in peanut butter there, and I said, nah. I'm not hungry. I'm not taking that. I don't want that. No, obviously I want Mads to do well, but
Mads was awesome tonight, man. A couple glove saves early in the first period. Heck yeah. I like that.
He was great. And that's like, at this point of the season, Ross, it's all about, okay, can the guys that haven't been around this stink of a team all year, like Mads, hopefully Crooker gets an opportunity once guys move out at the deadline. Can guys like that can hopefully be a part of this team's future, can they build on something and use it moving forward? Because everything else is absolutely pointless here. There's no Hamburglar run. There's no hope. There's no positivity. I know, Ross, you said before we started the show, let's try to not be too negative here. But I gotta tell it like it is. Like, this team is trash, and they will continue to be trash, and we are cheering for losses yet again.
You want me to be positive?
You know what? I won't stop you, but I will not be forced to be positive, because
you're cool if I take it from here with some positivity.
Yeah, go off, King.
The Postcast is always brought to you by a place where the vibes are free, the Glebe Central Pub. The Postcast is always brought to you by the Glebe Central Pub. You can find them right in the heart of the Glebe at 779 Bank Street. And when you go, make sure you let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. We love seeing tweets when people go to the pub and have a great time. Well, Spud not only went, but he got to shake hands with the owner, hang out with Blair. It's just a bunch of beauties at the Glebe Central Pub. They're also huge Sens fans just like you, and they've got the Sens shuttle to and from the CTC round trip for just $17. That's it, $17 round trip to and from the Canadian Tire Center. So go get your tickets online, GlebeCentralPub.com, and you can also check out on Instagram, Glebe Central Pub, when they've got live events. They've got live music, I believe, tonight. There's always something going on, though, at the Glebe Central Pub, so you can go find that out all online, Glebe Central Pub, where the vibes are free at the GCP. Make sure you let them know that Locked On Senators sent you.
Nice one, Ross. I do love the GCP, and I'll be heading there whenever I'm in Ottawa. The vibes are free. You'll love to see that at the GCP. This episode is also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Guys, FanDuel is the official online sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network. They're North America's #1 sportsbook. If you try any of the other sportsbook, I can pretty much guarantee you're always going to come back to FanDuel, because it is the best. I love their app. It's simple, safe, secure, easy to use. If a guy like me can use it, if a guy like Ross can use it, I'm sure you guys can use it, because all you have to do is go on to FanDuel, find out who the Ottawa Senators are playing, and bet against them, and you can get some green numbers in your account moving forward, just like Ross did. Look, it's shameful. It feels dirty, but you got to make business decisions sometimes, and that's a business decision right there. And
worst part, Pilsy, was the fact that it was in regulation, so I wasn't even cheering for them to tie it up on that late power play. Or with the goalie pulled, I should say.
That's tough. And if anyone in the chat had puck line, you were probably very thankful that Chikrin tossed a pizza up the ice, and
then Timmy was just like, "Nah, I'm good."
Yeah, Timmy's like, you know what? If I touch this puck, it's just going to make things more difficult. So I'm going to leave it. And the Flyers scored to make it 4-2 to get that puck line for all you guys on FanDuel. You can also bet on the NBA, and new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. It's $150 if your bet wins. So check it out at FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA.
Welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan. That's Brandon Piller. We are here to vent. And I almost neglect calling it the Vent Cast, because at this point, it's the We're Defeated cast. It's the Clown Cast.
It's a verbal meme, the Simpsons meme, where all the kids are in the playground and they're like, "Stop, he's already dead. Like, stop." That's the Ottawa Senators.
We are the dead horse that's being beaten.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, at least it is trade week, and we do love a good trade. And with that, Elliot Friedman of Sportsnet pregame tonight said that the interest is picking up on Eric Brandstrom.
Ooh.
He then furthers to have a discussion on saying that, there's decisions to be made on Vladimir Tarasenko, Jacob Chikrin, and Dominic Kubalik as others that could be moved. Now, Kubalik, there's just no market. If Kubalik gets traded for anything, I'm really going to be shocked. Now,
how future considerations, Ross? Like, I don't think teams are doing that.
You have to take a bad contract back. Like, that's the only way that you can get Kubalik off the books. But at this point, I either do that or I put him on waivers, and send him to Belleville. I'm sure he'd be a great AHL player. I'm actually serious about that. I think he would actually
Well,
thrive
he's
in
supposed
Belleville.
to be a good NHL player.
He's not.
Not in Ottawa.
There's a short list of players that I like watching less in Ottawa Senators history than Kubalik. He got his first assist in 22 games tonight because he completely fanned on the puck.
Yeah. Thank you, Kubalik.
Shabby was ripping the pill in the third period. I respect that. He's like, it's almost like he was mad at the puck. He's like, let's go.
Green light for Shabby on that one. Yeah. And Ross, there's a couple other Senators that are not great to watch right now. So trade deadline, Steve Staios could do some good cleaning out the closet here, it seems.
Big time.
And if it's not obvious to him, we can let him know which guys they can safely move on from here, because it just seems glaringly obvious to the two of us and most Sens fans who is part of the problem here and who's part of the solution.
Now, with Erik Brannstrom, who I'm not saying he's part of the problem per se, but the fact that he's generating interest is kind of funny to me, because he doesn't really feel, usually it's like the big, like Joel Edmondson's going to get moved for something that,
especially for playoffs. Yeah,
exactly. It's like, hey, we're bulking up for playoffs. What do we need? Erik Brannstrom. Well, Brandy played a couple shifts at forward tonight, but still played he also played the fewest minutes among all Sens defensemen. I'm including Max Gannett. Gannett played 2 minutes and 10 seconds more than Erik Brannstrom in this game. Was he benched, or do you think this is more just like getting lost in the numbers of having 7D and all those lefties and having Gannett as a right shot? Like, I'm just trying to figure it out, because Erik Brannstrom's like, it hasn't been a case where Erik Brannstrom hasn't played much. You know what I mean? Like, he's been always around that 15 to 18. So it just feels weird that he was down all the way to 928 tonight. And short shifts for Erik Brannstrom tonight. Short shifts.
When you're playing 7 and 10, because Zach McEwen goes down early in the game, your lineup's going to be out of control. So I'm going to chalk it up to that. But also, it's not like Branny was hot out there. It's not like you had to get him out there.
17 shifts for Erik Brannstrom, and get this, 2 of them, one of them was after the penalty shot goal with 2 seconds left in the second period, and the other one was after the empty netter. He played a 1-second shift to finish the game.
Yeah, just dropping that puck.
Just dropping the puck. Let's let's stay on the trade talk, but I do want to get your thoughts on that penalty shot and everything that happened. We'll do that at the end of the show. But with the Erik Brannstrom, like, is this the type of player that you'd look to move in a hockey trade, or are you really just selling off Brannstrom and all these other guys for draft picks?
I don't think you're going to get a hockey trade for Erik Brannstrom, Ross, just because, like you said, like, it's very strange for teams to be loading up for playoffs and be picking up small defensemen. Like, that's kind of counterintuitive to what the playoffs is and how you plan for playoffs, especially if you're just getting extra defensemen. Usually you're just getting big guys with size. So I don't think it's gonna be a hockey trade. I think this will be kind of a team that looks at Branny, looks at the versatility, looks at how young he is, looks at how affordable he is, and says, hey, let's get him in here, see if he gels with the guys, see if we can find a way to use him properly, and then maybe we take a crack at signing him because he'll be an RFA. So I think that's kind of what you're looking at here, Ross. And honestly, I could see Brandy going to a team that's not even necessarily a lock to make playoffs. Like, they could just be a team that's trying to find some sort of defense to shore up. Maybe a team like Calgary, after they move Noah Hannafin and they've already moved Tanev, maybe they're saying, hey, we're just looking for defensemen that can be under team control because Brandy's an RFA, and this is a guy that could fit in here. So that's kind of where I see Erik Brannstrom going. So I think the Senators are going to be looking to get picks and or prospects back for Erik Brannstrom, in my opinion.
The draft's going to be awesome. I'm all in on the draft. I will say
we have to be yet again. We have
all in. No, I love the draft on a good day, but it is very, very intriguing. Also, because we don't know what Steve Staios' scouting philosophy is and all that in terms of being a GM and what everything else is going to do. Sens fan and Van, one of our favorites here, and the citizens in the chat. On the upside, that's what good goaltending feels like. I agree. Very well said. And I also want to follow this up by saying it's a back-to-back, Anaheim, LA. I'm starting Mads on Wednesday. I don't care who's healthy. If Korpisalo has gotten over his illness, I'm starting Mads Søgaard on Wednesday and Saturday.
I like it.
And then the Thursday game, who cares?
I like it. Yeah, I'm down.
I would almost
honestly
start
throw Levy a
Corpusalo.
bone. Let Levy, even if.
Funny you say that. He has just been reassigned to the Belleville Sens. Him and Max Gannett. So good news on the injury front. on that standpoint, that just came across Twitter right now. We also will hear from Jacques Martin in just a couple of minutes on the Postcast. Your team every day here, Locked On Senators. We had a couple people write in on Twitter saying, boys, take the night off. Hey, Big Mitch. Can't do that, buddy. It's your team every day. We take that very seriously here on Locked On Senators, where we will be at 1,000 episodes in exactly 10 days. And that doesn't count the 191 postcasts that we've done as well. So that's all we care about here is making sure that we can vent or vibe with all the citizens out here. And one day this team will be good. One day this team will be good. Jacob Chychrun. I think we're far enough into the postcast to have this conversation. I want people in the chat to let us know, because I've also heard from some people that we're being too harsh on him. We're being too critical on him.
Okay.
The play where Ryan Poehling comes in and pokes, and maybe we're a goalie-friendly show. We're a little more, agitated when people go at the goalie. It was a late poke. There's no question about that. Chychrun grabs him. There's not even like a little... where you grab the collar and give him a little, let him know you're there.
Rattle him, yeah.
And this is the weirdest part. He doesn't even make eye contact with him. He's looking for pennies on the ground. Like, I've never seen that. 36-year-old Claude Giroux has to come in and have a conversation with Ryan Poehling. Chychrun's like this. The camera is Poehling. The camera's Poehling because he's a big guy. He's way up there. Hey, Chychrun just wouldn't even look at him. I couldn't believe it. I honestly could not believe that. Completely checked out.
Yeah, exactly, Ross. That's just him being like, I don't actually care that you poked our goalie, but I'm supposed to do this. So here I am. I'm doing
embarrassing.
This.
That was
and
tough.
Then you can see Claude Giroux is actually upset about it. And that's the thing. You see teams that do this well. The Florida Panthers, perfect example.
I watched their whole game today. If Detroit has to make the playoffs, I need them to play Florida. That's going to be the quickest 4-game series of all time.
Yeah, I mean, Florida's built for the playoffs. And you know why, Ross? Because that's a team that's well coached. As well as anyone, Paul Maurice is a great head coach. I've always liked him. And he's got those guys gelled together. And if anyone pokes at Bob, all 5 of them on it. And without question, it's not like, was that questionable? Should we really get on him? No, we don't mess around. You don't touch our goalie. End of story. Period. That's it. And those are the kinds of teams where the buy-in is there and they all know what's acceptable and what's not and what they have to do. And there's no one questioning. There's no one just doing it to be there and like, yeah, I got this guy. It's not a big deal. Like the emotion and the passion is there. And look, you can't really blame Sens players, I guess, if the passion isn't there because they're so far out of this that all these games are meaningless for the next month and a half. But I don't know. If you're a guy like Jacob Chychrun, you're absolutely shredded. You're a big defenseman. It should be easy for you to manhandle this guy and just take care of him, and that's that. Like, it should be no issue at all to be physically dominating on the ice, and we're not seeing that.
Looking for pennies. And in our goalie-friendly chat with the Martian, and Lalim's Martian will be back on the postcast soon. He's just going through a few things on the family side, so everyone send him some hearts and some love as well. But Martian said, if I was built like Chychrun, I'd be dummying guys out there for fun. But like instead, it just feels like he doesn't want it.
You play pro hockey, one of the most physical sports on the planet. You're a shredded dude.
I looked up his 2 career fights, by the way. Go search them up.
And I saw the opponent. Sens don't have a lot of great fighters coming through this.
Well,
system.
I saw who he fought, and I was like, oh, this could be good. He fought Braden Shen and Gabriel Landeskog. His 2 fights. Okay. Landeskog won. He keeps his gloves on the whole fight time.
Oh, come on!
The whole time he got his gloves on. Anyways, people can go search it. It's at Hockey Fights. I watch them both. I don't need to do play-by-plays of both of them. Neither of them a single punch is thrown. I'll put it that way. That penalty shot was a complete joke. We don't talk about the refs on this show, but if we are, that's a time where we can. One hand on his stick, side. One hand. That's not even a penalty in beer league.
Thank you. I was just going to say that shouldn't even be a penalty. And obviously that sends bias, but like the fact like that, Ross, is where people that are on the robots should umpire baseball games and things like that. Like that, I feel like was an emotional call by the ref. It's at home. The Flyers
They just
are
scored.
Building exactly. They're building momentum. Now they're in the lead. Forster, a guy that you and I loved in our draft profiles.
Still do, man. He's a stud.
Great player. You got to tip your cap to him. He had an incredible night. I felt like that was an emotional call. Like I would love to see the ref go back and explain why that one was a penalty, let alone a penalty shot. And then you like Ross. I had a little bit of hope that Mads would have a big stop here, but that just felt like all the cards were pushed towards Forster, and he was going to score that goal no matter what. And he makes a great move. There's not much Mads can do there, but soft call.
Such a soft call. And even like I was looking and Hockey Daily 365, they do a great job of posting every goal from every game. I don't know how they do it, but they had the Philadelphia broadcast, and Scott Hartnell is the color commentator.
Okay.
And he couldn't even convince himself because he was just trying to go through it as the replay goes. And then Pinto whacks down.
Yeah, what does he do? What does Pinto do? Like, I get the stick gets in there a little bit, but it's not enough to hook him. He doesn't take him down. He doesn't trip him. Like, I don't know. I thought it was a weak call.
Super weak call, and unfortunate because then now that you look at it that way, Pills, you're like, obviously every goal is a shot against, and but like that almost makes to me Mads Søgaard's night even more impressive because on pucks that actually were shot in a normal circumstance, Mads Søgaard goes 36 for 38 in this game. So, anyways, I thought Mads was awesome. I think that's kind of my final thought here. Look, Thomas Chabot goes -2 in the night, but plays 26:02, and we know that he's banged up as well, right?
I thought Shabby had a good game.
He's a game time decision. And then Chikrin's +1 with 5 shots on goal, and he was ripping everything at the net. We appreciate that, but I don't know, man. Anyways, we got a week to figure that out. Vladimir Tarasenko gets his 17th goal of the season. You have a Send Central standout presented by the Glebe Central Pub?
Well, obviously, we've got to go Mads. Hashtag goalie friendly show. Hashtag friend of the show. Mads Søgaard being thrown into this game here because both goalies are not available for the Sens. And I just thought that, sure, that first goal goes in, and I think everyone, myself included, my eyes are rolling back all the way into my head, being like, here we go again. The Ottawa Senators off to a bad start. But that's one where you got to credit Mads. He pulled it together. He collected himself, and he had a really good first period, and he keeps his team in the game, and they end up leaving that period tied 1-1. That's pretty impressive if you ask me, with the way that they were getting outshot. I'm just looking at it here, 19-4, and they end up with they don't score that goal till the second period, my bad. So they're down 1-0, but it should have been a lot worse considering how well the Flyers are putting pressure on the Sens there. So definitely my Sens Central standout has got to go to Mads Søgaard.
I love that. Completely agree. I think Mads is the only 1A standout in tonight's game. One note though, Tim Stützle played over 25 minutes tonight. It's the third most minutes he's ever had in a game that doesn't go to overtime.
Yeah. I mean, they were down guys, and Jacques Martin was not playing a handful of guys either. So Timmy had to take on a lot of that responsibility.
Too much of it. After one final break here for those listening, we will get to some audio and wrap up tonight's show with Jacques Martin. Always curious to hear what the Senators coach thinks. So we'll get to that next. You're listening to the Postcast on Locked On Senators. All right, welcome back. Locked On Senators. It's a 4-2 Sens loss to the Philadelphia Flyers. The Senators get scored on first again for the 5th straight game and just could not get anything going. The goals were Vladimir Tarasenko and Thomas Chabot. Assists in this game, Shane Pinto and Matthew Joseph had assists on the first goal. Dominic Kubalik gets his first assist in 22 games, and Claude Giroux gets his 35th assist in this one. The shots on goal, 40-26, as I mentioned, a complete joke. And Ottawa hasn't been blocking as many shots as they had during their successful run. So now you can draw a bit of a connection between that, whereas Philly blocked everything. And Pillsy, you were saying, though, you think that Ottawa was kind of shooting into shin pads a bit too.
Yeah, especially on the power play. Like the passing was good around the perimeter, but then when they finally decided to pull the trigger, it seemed like there was a Flyers guy right there and just getting in the way of things. So yeah, John Tortorella team, you're going to expect them to block a lot of shots, and Philly did a good job of that tonight.
People are mentioning this in the chat. Yeah, I mentioned Timmy Stützle played over 25 minutes, 0 shots on goal. 25 minutes. Gotta get some in the net.
He's not a shooter, but yeah.
Well, he better start. He scored 39 goals last year, and somebody pointed out on Twitter, Uri Slafkovsky has more goals than Timmy this year.
0 power play goals for Tim Stützle might be the wildest stat of this Sens season.
Says he doesn't want to shoot the puck. Rip it, Timmy.
Yeah.
Rip it. All right, let's hear what head coach Jacques Martin thinks of this performance. Senators, right after tonight, they're going to be heading out west where they'll have 3 days to prepare for the Anaheim Ducks. Here's Sens head coach Jacques Martin.
The expression, a game of inches, sum this one up here tonight for you.
Yeah, I think we had, several opportunities in the end, but couldn't score. But, poor puck management, game management. I thought we had a good second period, and 1 minute left, we gave them 2 goals. I mean, that's, those were gift off the face-off. We missed an assignment, and then a turnover at the offensive blue line with 12 seconds left. It cost us game.
Playing an extra man short here when Zach went down, how much did that play a role into juggling lines and getting everybody in sync?
He played 2 minutes last game.
We started the game with Branston up front, to replace Tkachuk. So, we're down one man. We played back to back, but I mean it's not an excuse. I think it's just it's the mistake that cost us the game.
Is there an update on Brady here? We anticipated that he would play this morning.
Yeah, no, just I guess he felt good in the afternoon, so that's why he didn't play.
Is this break coming at a good time with all the injuries kind of piling up a little bit?
Yeah, it's probably a good time to recover. Have 3 days like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then we got back to back. So yeah, I think it's a welcome break, and maybe have a little bit of practice time so that we could focus on a couple areas.
Torts would not like that
tonight.
I thought he played very well. It gave us a chance to win. I thought he made some big saves for us. I thought he was solid.
Even though you hit the post pretty frequently there in the third, you had power play opportunities. Did you feel the power play did what you wanted it to and just didn't score? Were you not able to build any momentum off of it?
Yeah, I think I think we had really good puck control with the power play, good in the end zone. I'm not sure that we shoot enough. I think we're looking for perfection play too much. I think a lot of times goals that go in are just tip ins or pucks delivered at the net and rebounds in front. So I think that's the one area that. But at least we didn't give anything on the penalty kill. We had to kill quite a few 3 in the first period. So I thought we did a good job there.
Do you have any updates on either your goalies or Zach McEwen if he's going to be out for any kind of a length of time?
Yeah, McEwen is going to go back to Ottawa to be reevaluated. The goalie is just, I don't know at this time, but we don't play until Wednesday, so we got a little bit of time to readjust.
With Korpisalo, is it an upper body, lower body? Or I'm sorry, Forsberg. With Forsberg?
Forsberg was lower body, but Korpisalo was sick.
All right, you heard it there. Korpisalo was sick, lower body injury for Anton Forsberg. Pillsy, your thoughts after hearing from the coach?
I mean, kind of a predictable post-game presser there for Jacques. My final thoughts, I don't want to talk about the Ottawa Sens anymore. Let's go to the Belleville Senators. A 4-1 win over the Rochester Americans. So you love to see that with my guy, Peelsy, getting a goal and an assist. So nice to see that Belleville at least can get some dubs.
Hey, and they're in a battle right now, and Angus Crookshank got in a fight tonight. Not only is he producing offense, but getting his mitts dirty as well. I like what I'm seeing from Crooker. I hope we get to see him in the NHL a little bit more this year. It'd be a shame not to.
Hey, let's get Boko and Mama up too. Let's get the vibes up. Let's get some scraps going. I'm down for that.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that in the chat a little bit earlier. Allie wants Boko and Mama up. Let's wrap up
Let's
today's
go.
show with the spin, though. How about that for the good people? And
Of course.
I don't think it's gonna change. I don't think it's gonna change. But right now, it's final. It's final. Columbus did get the win. Columbus got a win in their game.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we're cheering for now, baby. Ottawa with a 7.5% chance at winning the lottery as things stand right now. What do we got here?
I am submissive to the spins. Spin me.
Columbus, speak of the devil. Columbus moves up first, and New Jersey moves up 9 spots to second. That puts Ottawa down 7th overall in the Tankathon. All right, I'll do one for the citizens now. Chicago wins first overall.
Of course.
Columbus moves up 2 spots to number 2. Ottawa drafts 6th. All right, my spin. What a boring 3 spins tonight. Anaheim moves up 1 spot. San Jose moves down 1 spot. Ottawa drafts 6th. Chicago first overall. Give me Zane Perrick with 6th overall.
I want Zane
7th
Perrick
overall.
So bad.
Our guy Alfie's mullet. Ottawa Senators, as it feels right now. Look, we got a lot of great content coming up this week because it is trade deadline week, and
huge.
It almost makes it more intriguing when your team's here because it's like, I feel like what to you would be the biggest trade possible? Is it Chychrun?
Yeah, definitely Chychrun. Definitely.
You don't think anything's going to come out of left field?
No. That's off-season stuff. Especially Ross, the cap is going up. Reportedly like somewhere around $4 million, so teams are going to have a lot more flexibility, so you might see some teams go for some big swings here, and so the Ottawa Senators could have some major shakeups.
Yeah, Sean mentioning that Zane Perrick is only 170 pounds. He's got to put on some weight for the Ottawa having the softest blue on. This guy's got 30 goals.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Big Zane Perrick guys here. But again, we'll get into all of our draft rankings, and we're going to start them even earlier this year. We're just going to get feeling this thing out sooner rather than later. And we're going to get this ship in the right direction here come playoffs. And we'll follow our hashtag sends abroad and get you everything you need to know here for the Ottawa Senators. No palm face. Giroux stays.
Yeah, come on.
No. Stays.
He's staying.
He has to. You can see the passion in him recently too. And
yeah.
What makes me feel like it's going to be all right is his wife just keeps posting about like just living in Ottawa, life in Ottawa. I feel like that might be the deciding factor, honestly. But hey, we'll take it.
We'll take it. We will take it.
And what also is going to make this a really interesting trade deadline is now that the Senators have over $7 million in cap space.
Yeah,
with Josh Norris out for the rest.
I wouldn't mind seeing some roster retention moves to try to get some assets, or cap retention moves to try to get some assets here.
Yeah, Ottawa can do two more because Matt Murray is against the books this year, so you can have 3 at any given time. Kara's asking why Clevin hasn't been brought up. He's actually out. We think he might be sick or it might be an injury. We haven't gotten a whole lot of clarity on that, but yeah, he would. I think he would have been up. But I'd like to see a bad contract. Like if that's the difference between. Look, I want to see Angus up, but I also want Belleville to actually play well.
That's the thing, Ross. I don't want to ship too many guys off and then take all Belleville's good players.
Hey, Dr. Bob.
But Ross, there is enough. Shout out Dr. Bob. There is enough veterans in the AHL that if they wanted to keep Crooker and some of those high end guys down, you could bring up guys like Matthew Highmore, Larson. Like there's so many other guys that if they just want to have bodies in the NHL and kind of keep the long-term guys they've put draft capital and invested in their development. If you want to keep those guys down there to try to make a good playoff push, they can do that. They have that luxury this year.
All right, Pillsy. Final thoughts after this 4-2 loss to Philadelphia? We got some late night postcasts coming up next week.
Yeah, big time. Get the coffees and energy drinks going for.
I'm on the kombuchas right now. No free
Nice.
ads, but I'm on these kombuchas. They're actually really good.
Once in a while, I mix them in, but with the way the Ottawa Senators are playing, Ross, I'm on the double rum and coke these days. That's my health tip for the night.
Fair enough. Hey, you got your health in earlier today. That we had a good little Peloton going there as well.
Among
Yeah,
other
these
things,
things are delicious. Let's get some no sends no in the chat
Tank
here.
sends
We
tank.
appreciate everybody joining us in the postcast. Win, lose, or draw, we will be here venting or vibing tonight. Yeah, you could say it was a vent cast or it was just cast as the Ottawa Senators lose 4-2 to the Philadelphia Flyers. For more, follow us on social media at Send Central on Twitter, LockedOn.Senators on Instagram, and Abby Murphy, the leading scorer in women's NCAA hockey. You might remember her. She did the old slap shot and a breakaway just last week. We're planning a time with her. We're going to get her on for something a little different this week. She not only leads the NCAA women's game in points, also in penalty minutes. So just
Love
a real
it.
beauty. So I'm excited to chat with her. But for Ottawa tonight, it's a 4-2 loss against Philadelphia, where they're outshot 40-26. Both teams go 0 on the power play. Ottawa had 5 chances. Philly had 4. Ottawa snaps back 57% of the faceoffs. Ironically, Philly's second goal of this game was a faceoff win, and then it's in the back of the net 2 seconds later. Ottawa gets out hit 24-21 and out blocked 28-13. We'll be back on Monday to discuss untouchables on the Senators roster as we kick off trade deadline week. That's Brandon Piller. I'm Ross Levitan. We're a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I wish that we could listen to Danger Flutes right now, but instead, you get this.